what's up? Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here, I'm Alex. I review movies and TV series, so if that's your jam, subscribe to my channel so you don't miss anything. It is part 4 of my Zack Snyder movie binge, and today I review 300. With a massive Persian army making its way towards Sparta, King Leonidas and his brave 300 Spartans march out to stand against them. I was really excited to revisit 300 because I loved watching it when I was younger, and I hoped it would be just as good now that I'm reviewing movies for a living, and for the most part, it is. For starters, the action is just simply incredible. It felt like my heart was having a drumline going crazy in my chest. The battles were chock full of weapons and blood and monsters, and they were backed up with hard rock music that just dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun your soul. I was ready for battle. The first battle where the Spartans pushed back all the Persians and knocked them over the cliff, that was so crazy. I was hyped up. And the Spartans were pretty much superheroes because they were taking on multiple people by themselves, all while wearing capes, speedos, and chiseled abs. That's all they needed. Is it practical? Not at all, but gosh darn, did they look good. This is the epitome of masculinity that I aspire to reach. If I can sidetrack really quick, I love the idea of the costume design of the Spartans. Most people think it looks silly, but I think it represents true strength. You might be thinking, oh, it's because they have big muscles and an epic cape, that's strength. No, the real strength comes from how vulnerable the uniform is. They're practically naked, yet they're still really strong. So what these uniforms are basically saying is that those who allow themselves to be vulnerable, not just with themselves, but with others, those people are truly strong. And not vulnerable physically, I'm talking about mentally and emotionally. That's what these uniforms represent, and I thought that was really beautiful. I also love how this movie just draws me into it and it makes the time fly. Because 300 is 2 hours long, but it didn't feel like that at all. Because I was too busy watching Gerard Butler fighting this giant, whatever the heck this is supposed to be, to even notice that it was 2 hours. But even in the slower scenes, I was still enthralled, big word of the day, by the performances of the cast. Because on paper, when I read a lot of the lines that are spoken in 300, they sound really corny, which, to be honest, is on par for a Snyder film. But the way the actors delivered these lines with such passion and force, it transformed corny into epic. I usually don't like it when there's narration in the movie, but when David Wenham as Dilios told the story of the Brave 300, I never wanted him to stop talking. It was giving me chills. Wenham had me ready for war. If he was my motivational speaker, I would be the most successful man alive. That's how his performance made me feel. And of course, I had to talk about one of the greatest lines in cinema history.
Save Martha! Why did you say that name?
No, not that one.
This is Sparta!
Oh yes! I can't help but feel so much power and satisfaction from hearing Gerard Butler deliver this perfect line. Some people may not agree that this is a brilliant line, but that is a hill I am very willing to die on. It just goes to show that if you have the right actor for the role and the right directing, you can turn the cheesiest of cheese into a glorious nacho bar. I don't know where I'm going with that metaphor, but you know what I mean. As much as I love 300, I do have a couple issues with it. First one being the use of slow motion. Zack Snyder loves slow motion, and for the battle scenes he uses it pretty effectively, but he also loves using it when nothing is really happening. For example, there's a scene where the queen is just walking around the streets of Sparta, just looking around, seeing how everyone's doing, and that whole thing was in slow motion. I'm like, why? Why are you doing this? It's at moments like these where I did feel the 2-hour runtime, and I had to tell the movie, hey, don't take advantage of the time that I'm giving you. Only use the slow motion if something epic is happening. Another issue that I had with this movie was actually brought up to me by someone I was watching it with, and they said that 300 was a movie about a courageous and strong white man taking out the big scary brown people. And as I was watching it, I was like, oh dear God, it totally is. And as a person of color, that put a huge damper on the movie for me. I know some people will say, well, Alex, it's ancient Greece. The people that lived there were white. But I would counter with, there's a guy with swords for hands. There's a goat man. There's a big zombie baby man thing. My point is, it wouldn't have pulled me out of the fantasy of the movie if they had added at least a few black or brown people amongst the Spartans. I would have felt a lot less weird about it. Overall though, this movie is freaking awesome. It's just pure, epic, violent action, and a great watch if you're feeling down and you want to get yourself pumped up. Based on the content within this movie, it might not be everybody's cup of tea, but to me, 300 is a fun ride that leaves you excited for more. Like a roller coaster. So 300, did you see it? What'd you think about it? Let me know down in the comments below. And if you missed part 3 of my Zack Snyder movie binge, or you want to see new reviews, click right here. Now hit the theme music.